don't think I'm doing this, you know? I'll be honest, this is probably one of the games that has come the closest to capturing what we truly do. Would something like this truly happen? Absolutely.
Well done, lads. You did well with the Summers case. But we have a problem. The examiner received a new letter today.
Do you mind if I take a look, Ray?
Go right ahead. They've both been rinsed in gasoline like the previous letters, so I can't lift a print.
What's interesting here is a lot of, when I had commented about fingerprints in the first time I had done this first episode, is that people are like, well, it was the 1940s or 1950s and, fingerprints were, not a thing. And it's like, no, they actually were a thing because fingerprints were around in the late 1800s. Scotland Yard was already utilizing them. As a matter of fact, American law enforcement learned fingerprinting from Scotland Yard. So that's kind of the interesting part. But yes, fingerprints were around. But the one thing that wasn't around back then was latex gloves, so they would have touched stuff with their bare hands. Maybe they'd used a handkerchief.
If the note is from the Dahlia maniac, he definitely also killed Teresa Terrell.
Mal and I agree.
But where does that leave us? If this is the Dahlia killer, and he is responsible for the Tarrelson murder, not to mention...
What's interesting about L.A. Noire, to be quite honest, is they go into the whole Black Dahlia case, and in L.A. Noire, they actually solve the Black Dahlia case, but... if you really know the history of it, the Black Dahlia case is still an unsolved murder for the Los Angeles Police Department. And as a matter of fact, there is some speculation. There's still no proof, but there is some speculation that they do know who the killer is. There was a documentary that was just recently done about the son who believes his father was the Black Dahlia killer. It was because of where their house was at, what it overlooked, and so forth. But it would be neat to finally find out who the Black Dahlia killer actually was. So...
I hid myself within a fountain in a public square.
You like that stuff? What is it supposed to mean?
It's supposed to... Forget what it's supposed... What does he want it
Where are
to...
you going with this, Cole?
He's obviously taunting us. He believes he's far more intelligent than we are.
Okay, it's some kind
That's
of...
actually very true. There are serial killers who truly believe that they are smarter than law enforcement, and they do in their letters and their clues that they leave behind. They're taunting us because they feel that we're never going to put all of the pieces together to, to be able to solve the crime. I mean, if you look at it like the Zodiac killer, we never were able to decipher some of his papers, and they were supposed to lead us to who he actually was. So what I love about L.A. Noire is they're meshing a video game with real life police detective work, and I'll be honest, this is probably one of the games that has come the closest to capturing what we truly do, and then capturing the whole essence of this era is just flipping amazing. I don't know how many people have actually really played this game to realize that this stuff still exists. Pershing Square is still in Los Angeles. Parker Center's in Los Angeles. These are some real places. Some stuff is, obviously gone, but but there are many symbols in this game are definitely still there. So I don't think Pershing Square looks like that anymore, but it's I believe the fountain might still be around, but I'm not quite sure. I can't remember that actually, but yeah, this is definitely a real fountain back from this time period.
You got a city map? See if you can work out where he's taking us.
Yeah, I've actually, when I look at this map, I personally will try to find the streets that still exist and do a reference map on Google. And they actually did a really good job on some of the older streets like Figueroa and that type of stuff that are truly there. They did do a good job on bringing kind of like condensing Los Angeles. Now, I've often wondered, being a former detective, how far would I go to solve this? Like, I don't think I'm doing this, I'm going to say about 99.9% of the detectives I worked with would be like, hell no, call the fire department. They could get a ladder up there, and we'll we'll do it that way.
Deirdre Muller's missing watch.
Robbery homicide was known as the Hat Squad. and it's because everybody in the squad had to wear fedoras.
I'm pulling rank here, Cole.
Yeah, that's not happening. I'm not climbing up any drain poles. No. The nice part about it, he's doing it in a 3-piece suit. In the Black Dahlia case, I can't remember if he was actually leaving letters, but I've actually personally had cases where someone had left a clue behind, like a letter, because once again, they're taunting. They wanted to see how smart you are, and because to them, it's a contest. It's literally a contest. Are you going to be able to catch me? And not just serial killers, there are your career criminals who are looking to get caught. And it's just like, you finally caught me, because they want to get caught. Especially some of the serial killers who feel like they're killing people, but it's whatever's inside driving them to kill those people. They want to get caught because they want to stop killing, and they know what, but they can't.
See? That was easy.
I found Celine Henry's ring.
We're watching Cole and his partner work a case from beginning to end. They're not getting other cases, and that's kind of the problem with, you know, modern day law enforcement, is that you'll get a homicide and you'll work it for a while, and a while may be a day or two, and if the leads end, then you'll go back to it, and the only reason why you go back to it is because you're getting another homicide. That's the thing, is that the homicides come in so frequently. If you look at LA County, you know, you're talking about a huge, you know, county where someone is dying every day. So they could go out and it be a totally, you know, like everything is fine, but there could be those times where they're going out 2 or 3 cases, and so you're not able to follow the leads like this. And I'm fascinated myself to know if this is how it was, where you got to just work this one case and you get to follow all of the leads. That would be interesting, because in like I said, in modern day law enforcement, that's not what we get to do. It'd be great. See, in this particular case, he's leaving clues of the victims, but most serial killers will keep those trophies for themselves and they'll keep them hidden, as opposed to putting them out there for the cops. But this is one of those ones where he's trying to taunt them with, like, yeah, see, I am the killer because these are the artifacts from my victims. And the sad part is, like, when you see Cole reading the letters, what Cole's trying to do is Cole's trying to get into the head of a serial killer. Quite frankly, that is something that you have to do as a police officer, even from when you first start as a rookie police officer. When you have a crime in progress and you're responding, you're thinking like a cop, but you also have to thinking like a bad person. You have to think about, what will they do once they know they've been detected? Which way are they going to run? Are they going to get into a car and drive away? If they are going to drive away, which direction are they going to possibly go in? What freeways are they going to hit? And quite frankly, it does get a little disturbing when you have to put your mind into some really sick people and think about, like, what is it that they're going to do next?
Nothing hasty, gentlemen. Keep your hands where I can see them, or I'll be forced to redecorate the stucco with your entries.
We're from the LAPD, sir. I'm gonna tell you only once to lower your weapon.
The LAPD, you say?
I applaud the game makers if they were thinking this way. The guy got the drop on the cops, and he has a shotgun which is going to kill them if he shoots. However, if you notice, Cole and Rusty separate. They put distance between each other, and I often wondered, did the game makers purposely do this, or did someone tell them as a police tactic that that's what police officers would do? Because he's going to shoot somebody. So the last man, unfortunately, who's left standing is going to, you know, because he can only focus on one person. You got to realize this time frame, there's no radios. They have to get to a telephone to call for help. They're not going to come looking for them until an extended period of time has gone by. Is what you have with you is what you have with you. So You know, how many magazines do they have? How many bullets do they have? Are they carrying a flashlight? Obviously, there's no radio, no pepper spray, no mace. There's not a lot. So these situations, yeah, they can be truly hairy if you're tracing someone as a detective.
I'll go. Call for backup and keep an eye out above ground and see where this thing comes out. Don't let me down, Rusty. If we can bring him in alive, there's enough physical evidence for an airtight case.
So sometimes people ask, have you seen a crime scene kind of like, you know, like this? And it's like, yeah. I've seen crime scenes even worse than this, where blood was just everywhere. You couldn't help but walk on the blood just to examine the crime scene. So unfortunately, there are some sick people here who do, or sick people in the world that do stuff like this.
Where's the press, Cap? I think Phelps and I should get a medal for this. This has got to be the case of the year, right? The case of the century when you think about
Are
it.
you finished?
Yes, Skipper.
Good. Because there won't be any press briefings or commendations.
What are you talking about? We got the werewolf, the guy who killed the Dahlia, killed all the other broads.
You got no one. Mason was a ghost.
Can you at least tell us why, Captain?
Mason is the half-brother of one of the most highly elected officials in this country.
How high?
Beyond the moon for mere mortals like us, Rusty. There'll be no more mention of him.
Would something like this truly happen? Absolutely. During that time frame when they could do stuff like that, absolutely they would. If there was some political pressure to make sure that this never came to light, unfortunately, I would have to say that it would have happened. And like I said earlier, the Black Dahlia is unsolved, you know, unsolved. Is it truly, or does somebody like this, does it truly, like, someone know who the killer was? And we're never going to know, right? What can we do as the captain just said, we're just mere mortals. So my final thoughts on this game is that this game is an awesome game to play. If you've never played it, pick it up. It has everything wrapped up into it, from the nostalgia of the era to what it was like being a police detective to showing you why people commit crimes. Basically, from greed to being a serial killer, just the various different elements of that, and truly what law enforcement officers see, not only back then, but even today. So pick it up. You'll love it. Well, that's it for me, everybody. Chris the Cop here. Hey, if you want to see me actually playing this game, head on over to my channel, Chris the Cop. But I'll see you here at Gameology on the next episode of Experts React. Take care. Peace.